December 2nd, 1984. Bhopal, a quiet city in central India, was home to 500,000 people. Nestled on the banks of the upper lake, life was ordinary, until a chemical plant a few kilometres away turned it into the site of one of the worst industrial disasters in human history. This is the story of how negligence, greed and deadly chemicals combined to destroy lives overnight. The Union Carbide India Limited UCL plant had been operating in Bhopal since 1970, producing pesticides for agriculture. Its most dangerous chemical was methyl isocyanate, or MIC, a highly toxic, volatile gas. Even small exposures could cause blindness, respiratory failure and death. By the early 1980s, safety at the plant was deteriorating. Equipment was outdated, storage tanks were poorly maintained, and cost-cutting measures had reduced the number of trained staff. Safety valves, alarms, and refrigeration units designed to prevent a chemical reaction were often turned off or malfunctioning. Most alarmingly, residents living near the plant were unaware of the risks or the procedures to follow in case of a leak. To make matters worse, the plant stored over 40 tonnes of MIC, enough to kill tens of thousands if released. At around midnight on December 3rd, 1984, water entered Tank 610, which stored 40 tonnes of MIC. The chemical reacted violently, producing heat and pressure. Within minutes, toxic gas escaped into the atmosphere. Residents woke to a dense, yellowish fog that stung their eyes and lungs. The gas spread silently through nearby neighbourhoods. People struggled to breathe, some vomited, some convulsed, and many collapsed on the streets. Children, the elderly, and those with pre-existing health conditions were especially vulnerable. Thousands tried to flee blindly, while others sought refuge in ponds and lakes, unaware the water could not stop the gas. Local hospitals were unprepared. Doctors had never treated MIC poisoning and lacked the proper medicines. Overcrowding and panic compounded the chaos. Within the first 24 hours, estimates suggest 3,000 to 5,000 people died. In the weeks and months that followed, the death toll skyrocketed to over 15,000, with more than 500,000 people suffering from acute or chronic health effects. Families were torn apart. Parents lost children. Children lost parents. People woke up to a world they no longer recognised. Thousands suffered blindness, respiratory illnesses, neurological disorders, and reproductive problems. Hospitals continued to fill for months with patients struggling with long-term complications. Contaminated water and soil worsened the situation. Wells and ponds near the plant carried residual MIC and other toxic chemicals, continuing to poison generations. Even today, many children in affected areas suffer from congenital disorders directly linked to the disaster. Union Carbide Corporation, the US-based parent company, faced global outrage. Investigations revealed gross negligence. Safety systems were disabled, alarms were ignored, and maintenance was inadequate. Yet corporate executives initially denied liability, claiming sabotage or unforeseen accidents. The Indian government filed a lawsuit seeking $3 billion in compensation. In 1989, the two sides settled for $470 million, a sum widely criticised as insufficient. Criminal charges against executives dragged on for decades, with very few facing jail time. Survivors' groups argued that justice was delayed and diluted, highlighting systemic failures in holding multinational corporations accountable. Bhopal remains scarred. Soil and groundwater near the plant remain contaminated. Thousands continue to live with chronic respiratory illnesses, cancers, neurological problems, and birth defects. Children of survivors often face lifelong health challenges. The disaster has created what some scientists call a toxic legacy, a chemical foot.